Are you tired of people always telling you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear? Me too. Are you ready to actually do something about it? Hi, I'm Loren Lahav, and for the past 30 plus years, I've been blessed to speak and to impact thousands of people around the world. I've shared the stage with the world's top thought leaders, including Barbara Walters, Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm also a personal development, lifestyle, and business coach, event producer, and entrepreneur with businesses in over 25 countries. I'm a wife and a proud mama to 3 and a bonus mom to 1. Trust me when I tell you, it took me many years of buying into my old story of I'm not enough and lots of grit to finally let go of the BS. So I understand firsthand what it means and what it took. They don't call it the School of Hard Knocks for nothing. This podcast is my way of breaking down the BS filters of what we say, what we do, and how we interact with others. I will be sharing what worked for me, yet more importantly, what didn't work for me. This is a no fluff podcast where we will address real life issues that seem to surface when you least expect it, relationship conflict and breakdowns, and real solutions. I will share from my life experiences and those of other everyday heroes, as well as the world's top experts, are all here to help you grow through the process of letting go and finally expressing your true voice, who you are and what you stand for. In a world of political correctness and living our lives on social media, it's hard to know what is real. And are you taking in so much information but not applying what you've learned? In my life, I always look to the people who understand what I'm going through and are willing to get honest and forthcoming with me to help me grow through these challenges. Trust me, I've had them all, and I'm going to take the time to be as real as possible and get to solutions. I've had financial issues, parenting issues, marriage issues, emotional issues. You know, the list goes on. I've learned from my challenges, I've grown from them, and continue to learn from them. I see them now as opportunities. With this podcast, we're going to tune up our lives. I'll be your cup of espresso to get you through whatever you're going through in your life that's holding you back, to give you that confidence and trust of knowing someone is there to help and guide you, yet you have to do the work. So strap in, hang on tight, and let's get real. All right. Well, welcome. I am so excited. It's time to get jiggy with it. Oh my gosh. Did I really just say that? It's time to get jiggy right now. I am very thrilled to, you heard me, right? I was like, did she hear me? Today is going to be really, really fun. I am so excited to introduce you all to Kaylin Marcotte. I hope I got it right. Kaylin Marcotte. And she is the founder of Jiggy Puzzles. I posted on my Facebook page about you being on Shark Tank, and I think you blew them away. Everything when you were talking about the profits in the first year and everything that's happened with regards to it. It's funny. I have had the opportunity a couple years before to be MC for these events called Success Resource events. And the very first one that I did was with Robert was at, and then, and then Mr. Wonderful, Kevin. Yes. It's so funny, right? Like everybody thinks he's so scary and he's really not, right? He's so cool.
He's such a nice guy. Yeah. It's an act.
It's so funny with regards to, but anyway, let's just get with it. You have started the most amazing company. And I was just sharing with you earlier, of how it helps in so many ways, like that there are so many life lessons through puzzles. And I know that you're a woman run company that really turns paintings into new and exciting jigsaw puzzles. I guess that's the best way. I know that you shared with me that you'd been in with a startup before, and you were looking, that you never thought that your favorite pastime that would turn into a business. Years ago, I remember meeting a guy named Stanley Mason. I don't know if you know who Stanley Mason is. Mm-hmm. He created disposable diapers, the underwire bra. Oh, wow. I think it was pantyhose, right? So he said, and it made me think of you because when I was listening to one of your sessions, it was like, how do you really just elevate things? And he said, you don't have to go create something new. You just have to look at something and go, how do you make it better? And he said he saw like women frustrated. I mean, this was a long time ago. I heard him before it was, there was so much awareness about the environment, but he saw so many women getting frustrated with diapers. And that's actually how he created disposable diapers. And just so many women with regards to, just like how their boobs were. So anyway, I loved it because that's really what you did. That's really what you did, right? You took something and you said, how do I elevate? So let's talk a little bit about this since I've been talking too much. So talk to us a little bit. I know the backstory, but why don't you share with everybody about the backstory of how you created Jiggy Puzzle?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to, and so happy to be talking to you. Thank you again for having me. So I started Jiggy, as you said, super organically. I was I was at an early startup. It was my first startup experience. It was an amazing experience, but, all consuming, kind of my first real, just grind. And I was on screens all day and just starting to burn out. And so it really came from a place of just looking for a way to unwind and unplug and kind of get away from screens at the end of these long work days, and trying to find my version of meditation or just an activity that would really kind of recenter me. And it became jigsaw puzzles. And so I was going through like a 1,000-piece puzzle every week. So I was always looking for more, buying more, and all the ones I could find were just, I felt really kind of uninspired, just like cheesy, kind of outdated, stock photography of this landscape or cottage or whatever it was. And it really was that kind of, how could these be better? And I think it's a point that I'm really passionate about sharing with other, potential entrepreneurs who are trying to think of ideas. And I think there's a lot of focus on this, 0 to 1 invention, some, cutting edge technology that's never existed before. And like, if that's your thing and you have the idea, that's awesome. But I think there's so much more opportunity just right in front of us. And to really, not necessarily have to invent something that's never existed before, but bring your unique spin and your unique angle to it. And how do you make it different and better and make it yours? So that was the idea with Jiggy. I loved the activity of puzzles to really recenter me and really bring me present. It's, engaging enough that I wasn't distracted thinking about my phone or anything else, but really came out of it very kind of centered and grounded. And so loved puzzles, the activity, but didn't love the product that was available out there. And so the idea to really elevate them and modernize them and to support emerging artists at the same time. So I think that's another thing, if you do have an idea or a potential product, to think about how else can it be a platform? What else can you include in this to give it a why, and, a why bigger than you. And so my why is to help, monetize the work of emerging female artists. And so each of our puzzle designs is their original artwork. We do profit sharing, so they get a percentage of every sale. And then we include puzzle glue. So when you're done, you can preserve the pieces and turn it into art. So yeah, that was kind of our fresh take with Jiggy on the classic puzzle.
I love it. Well, I mean, but not only did you modernize the actual puzzle, like you said, you didn't stop there. You modernized, how, what the container was like. You modernized
the packaging,
I mean, the whole thing of it. But it's interesting. I love has it always been puzzles for you? Is it something that it's always been puzzles for you? Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't done them for did them as a kid, and then kind of not for most of my adult life. I tried like yoga and, kind of classic meditation and some other, and it just didn't really stick. And so, it was really kind of my early 20s when I was burning out at work that I rediscovered them.
I love that. And, I talk all the time about that. We go through different stages, and that rediscovery stage is a really important part. I also love when you talked about when actually there's so many great metaphors in everything that you say, just so you know. I'm the metaphor girl. Like, how can I attach some meaning, to everything? And I love how you said, when you do your puzzles, and how most people don't even think how that helps them in their life. Like you said, I start with the border, I start with the boundaries, and how important starting with your boundaries really are in your life. And when I know that when you left that other startup, you said, when we talked before, I think that what I heard from you, it was this feeling in your, like, that's it. I'm done with this. I've got to set some boundaries in my life. That's what I heard. So could you talk a little bit about that? I might be right on. I don't know. We didn't really talk about this, but.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important to, especially as once you step into being an entrepreneur and being, your own boss, and there are no hours and it's all hours, you can be, you can very quickly go from like, oh, this is so flexible and I can like choose what time I work, to like, it never turns off. And there's always more. I think that was one of the biggest things I had to get used to. There's never a day where like, okay, task list is done, can close my computer, done for the day.
Right.
Like there's always more I could be doing. So almost like getting okay with that and comfortable with that, and really learning how to protect the time that I do need to recharge and be with loved ones and do, to puzzle again, and to just do the things I need to do to come back the next day. Because I think that is, especially when we're a really small team, like it is so much more important that I have the, just energy and can lead the team and participate fully than, that extra couple hours of whatever to-dos I was going to get done. So definitely having boundaries around just time and energy and kind of our idea of productivity. I'm happy to see kind of a cultural shift. I think for a while there, I saw this very, what was it, like hustle porn, like, like if you're not suffering, you don't earn
Right.
it. And,
Right.
This, that mentality, especially in startup culture. And, it's great to see that shifting a bit.
My husband really helped me with that. He said to me, he's like, that's it. Your phone's off, 6 o'clock, like you're off. And I'm like hiding underneath, like trying to like be on the phone. And then, like you said, like, it was like this part, it's like, why am I doing this in the first place? There's always going to be that to-do list from, you could create a biggest to-do list. I like to have block times, and I say from 10 to 2, I hunker down. And then, I remember once someone was like, well, you should have somebody else pick up your daughter. So I tried that for a couple months, and I'm like, I don't like how I feel like having somebody else pick up my daughter. I want to go pick her up. I want to hear the stories. I want to do that. So like you said, what you tried yoga, you tried some of the things that people suggested for you, and like it didn't really resonate with you. And I think that discovery process is so important, especially for our mental health. Like you said, my daughter has a friend that crochets, right? And
I love it.
And they hear these like 15-year-old girls like loving crocheting, or another one that like my son, who is just calling me right now, like for him it was yoga, right? And then he saw my husband running, and he was like, I'm going to try running. And he's like, man, Mom, I can't believe how like it really gets me in that place. So that discovering for yourself. I know it was, you said something when you were on Shark Tank, and they said, like, why are you coming to us? Like, you're doing well, like you're making the profits. And I so resonated with you, with what you said. You go, I don't want to do it alone. I want to do it. I'm doing good. And we're doing well, but I want a team, and I want a team of great people to be able to bring that together. And that's really why I'm doing Own Your Worth. Like, have I done events by my own? Yeah, I've done them by my own, but it doesn't have to be like my stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I want to bring great women together and highlight them. And that's why I'm so excited that you're coming, because you really are an inspiration of somebody who could also see the vision of what's possible, because you started in 2019, right
Yeah.
before COVID happened. Like, talk
Yeah.
about
Oh my
timing, but you
gosh,
were
it was crazy.
right. But you were, you said another thing though. I love what you said. You said, the life lessons through puzzles, it teaches you patience. It
Mm-hmm.
teaches you that delayed gratification. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the most awesome time actually for you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. It brought us, on the one hand, people were at home looking for activities. So there was definitely more just kind of organic interest or just attention on a category like ours. Um, but it also brought a ton of supply chain and freight and logistics. And, remember I came from theSkimm, which is a startup but a digital media company. And so this JIGGY is my first physical product. So I was also really just doing everything for the first time and figuring everything out, for the first time. And then all of a sudden it was just a moving target. And so it was, in some ways I had, friends who we sold out and they were like, wow, what an amazing problem to have. And I'm like, yeah, it's also still a problem though, because we can't restock for 3 months and, stuff is stuck at port and this component, is just, the raw materials are, tripled in price. And so, it definitely was kind of just trial by fire of having to, there's a quote that like starting a company is like, jumping off a cliff and building the airplane on your way down. And that was certainly what the COVID circumstances brought, even more so. So yeah.
So what did it teach you? What did it teach you?
Oh my gosh. I think it taught me a lot about, sometimes, and it just like went so against kind of my nature as the great student perfectionist, but like sometimes done is better than perfect, and you work with what you have. And I think especially in a consumer brand, just like transparency is key. There was, as long as you're forthcoming, and whether it's okay, the packaging is going to change because we just can't, or the shipment's late, or the timelines have changed. I think if you're very forthcoming, clearly communicate and transparent about what's going on, there's customers like still want to support us, and we're so gracious and patient. So definitely leading with just authenticity so that you build that relationship enough that it can be that transparency and honesty. And yeah, I think like working with what you got, letting go a little bit of my perfectionism of, okay, we can't get that material, we'll use this one, and like it will be okay. And having to just move quickly and kind of work within the circumstances, and just be very honest about it.
I love that. Have you noticed that things have shifted in your life since you don't have so much of that? I mean, I think that rules about some of those things. Have you noticed anything that else has shifted maybe in your communication with people or?
Yeah, I think I'm like generally kinder both to myself, and I think I'm very much more clear with expectations and much more kind of outcome based. So, whereas before maybe, and I think it is just kind of the founder journey of, letting go a bit and just, letting go, easing up and not, having to have everything exactly the way that you had done it or that you wanted it, but being much more just focused on the end goal, much more kind of outcome driven. And then the way you get there can change and people do things differently. So being like very clear with the team about expectations, what that outcome is, and then just being a little gentler on, myself and others.
I love that.
Things go differently.
I love that. There's a lady actually that's going to be speaking. You're going to love her. She's very, very cool. Her name is Rhonda. I have her book here. She's giving her book. It's so
awesome.
Good. But she talks about, the very first thing is to be prepared. The same thing. But to be prepared for the unexpected too. So when lots of times when people talk about being prepared, they think that it's got to be like like, it's got to flow like this way. I think that the gift of me being in the personal development, Tony Robbins world for 33 years was that everything would change like in a minute. Like I'm putting on an event this weekend, and everybody, there's a lot of people with like, send us the syntax, send us the order, send us your show flow. And I'm like saying to people, when I did the event last year, I was like, it's going to change. And people are like, well, send it anyway. So I'm like, it's going to change. And so by the time we got to the event, it was, if you were to look at the number of times the show had changed, it was 27 times.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Wow, so it's like being like, having your, like you just said, having the outcome, like the outcome is to have a great, whatever, to create a great product or to create a great experience for people, but it's going to change. And and to be okay with that flexibility. It's so funny because I printed something out, I think from something you had done. And I looked and it said, you know, what you're currently reading. It's so fascinating. First of all, it's my favorite book in the world, and I give it to everybody. But it's exactly what you created. Did you know that? And when you think about it, because it's what you just said.
No.
The book. So you said that you were currently reading The Alchemist.
Yeah.
And
that's
and it's exactly what you created. It's fascinating, right? Like it was right there in front of you. Right. We go looking and we go thinking that we have to, I'm giving it away for everybody who hasn't read The Alchemist, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's that, you know, we think it's out there, and I got to create something bigger, and I've got to create this, and I've got to like do this and that. We keep going, searching versus just slowing down, taking it. The one thing I've learned from yoga, even though I'm with you, it wasn't like my thing, but the one thing I did learn from yoga was always return to the breath. Right. And it's exactly what you just said. Like when you just slow down and go, what is it that makes me feel like in that state of just calm? And for you, it was puzzles, right? For my daughter's friends, it's, you know, the like crocheting with regards, for my husband, it's running. For, you know, for me, it's taking a bath. I need to find something a little bit better, probably more.
No, I love that.
Right. So
what centers
it's interesting
you and gives you that room to think. So totally.
So what are and a couple other questions. What's something that really inspires you? What brings this inspiration for you as you keep moving forward? I mean, you've created an amazing company, an amazing team, a small, mighty team, which I think is wonderful, but not just a small and mighty team. I know they're very inspired. And they see the vision. They see this as if they really feel that they're part of the vision, which I think a great leader really does. So where do you draw your inspiration from?
Yeah, I mean, now that, you know, we have, as I mentioned, each of our puzzles is designed by these female artists. We have such a strong, just rich community of these artists. And, you know, many of them are their own kind of small businesses. You know, they're just, most have quit their full-time jobs and are pursuing art as, you know, making a living now. And so seeing not only their work, but them kind of chasing their dreams, it just keeps me going for sure. And then I've just been so lucky, as you mentioned, you know, not doing things alone and having partners and even just, you know, not formal partners, just a network of, you know, other women, especially some of my like female founder groups and women's networks that just seeing everyone kind of, you know, own their ambition and, you know, their other interests and their, you know, family lives, and just, I've been so lucky to meet just really strong women in New York and have a great kind of support system who I look to and who keeps me going. So I think that's really important. None of us can do it alone. Both, you know, the work, but also just to recharge and re-energize ourselves.
And like celebrating with your friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when you first, you know, when she was celebrating you as if, you know, it was her own project. When I went to the Cheer Awards last year, And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's Kaylin. Like, and I was like, I couldn't wait to like have you be a part of everything with us. I want to, like, I felt like even though I didn't know you, I was so proud of you for taking those risks. Is there a story about an artist? You don't have to tell me exactly who it was, but that you felt like, oh my God, like you knew that there was a little part of you that because you created Jiggy, that their life was changed forever?
Yes. Oh, there have been a handful, but one in particular, she was working a design, like a graphic design job, sounded like a pretty negative work environment, was really not happy there, started to do her work, was trying to sell it on, some of these like marketplace sites where you can sell prints and stuff, but wasn't getting a ton of traction. And we licensed, she decided to get an art agent to really start being intentional about building her, social media following and putting her art out there. I think I actually found her on Instagram originally. We got in touch. We licensed one of her pieces, and it was actually one that was selected for a Today Show appearance we did. So this was like, I want to say 2 months after she quit her job and, was pursuing her art full time. All of a sudden it's like the framed, prop that we have featured on the Today Show. And that was just such a rewarding moment for us to be able to, bring the artists and their stories along with us. We're a startup, we're growing, and we get to bring them along and amplify their stories as well. So something like that, just, really keeps me going.
I love that. When people come to my house, the only art that is in my house is made by someone that I know. Like either someone that, like there's a big painting. You'll come see it when you come to my house.
Yes.
But this amazing, when I was going through a tough time, I got to this artist who's making this. I had gotten a bonus. I'm like, what am I going to do with this bonus? There weren't like cell phones and fancy things back then. I'm like, I'm going to have him make me a piece of art. And I want this like modern day Madonna and child. And his name was Clemente. And it was in San Francisco. And he's like, well, why don't you like come and paint for a little bit? I'm like, I'm not a painter. He goes, no, just come and put a couple strokes on it. And I look at that every piece, like every day, like it's like right there. And I'm like, oh my God, like the gift of knowing, I don't know. I just get so associated to it every day and just think about, and I would listen. I mean, every time I see the piece, I hear his, the music that he was playing when he was painting. And I remember the studio, and it's like, I'm so associated to it.
Right.
And I love that about, and I know about I know about Debbie Singer, and I know Debbie, her new piece. I'm so excited that you guys have collaborated with her. But once again, it was somebody that just was like, how do I return to what I love? Well, I am very excited. A couple more questions. What is a piece of advice that you would give somebody right now that they either want to maybe transition or that I think a lot of times people, like maybe they just want to go, that's it. They need do what you did is like, that's it. I'm done, and create something. Or maybe they're in the place was like that they love what they do. They're just looking for a little something to awaken their spirit again. What would you say to them? What would be your advice?
I think whether it is kind of really taking a leap and pursuing an idea or going out on your own, or just, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there's a lot of attention on like entrepreneur kind of founder stories, but I think there's a lot of opportunity, to be an intrapreneur in whatever environment you're in, to seek new opportunity, to keep challenging yourself, keep it dynamic and fresh, and, put your name out for things and take on new things, work-wise, kind of extracurricular, and to just, I do think novelty is important, just our kind of monkey brains that keeping, fresh challenges, new environments, can really spark that inspiration. When I was really, transitioning and looking to re-inspire, I did this book, The Artist's Way.
I love The Artist's Way. It's one of my favorite books.
And I've done it a few times since, even if you don't need a full reset, it just brings a lot more intentionality.
Yes.
And you do, these artist dates that can be, a pottery class, something you've never done before. But I think, to your point about whether it's crochet, running, baths, puzzling, like what is going to put yourself in that mindset to allow yourself to be inspired. And I think sometimes inspiration comes and we're not ready for it, or we're not open to it. And it kind of bounces off us. And I think getting yourself in this space that you can let that inspiration in, and finding what activity that is for you.
I love what you just said, allowing yourself to be inspired. Like you said, like I was walking yesterday and I love to dance. And so I always walk past those dance studios, and so it's like I was going to do this. I was going to do this thing. And the only reason I was going to do it was because it was going to be for a fundraiser. Right. Mm-hmm. And then they canceled. And so I had this whole thing. I was going to do this hip hop thing into the foxtrot, into the whole thing. And I had my outfits. But yesterday reminded me, like, maybe I should go back to that place and just go, take that dance class. So what is it? So first of all, I ask everybody the same question. So I don't know if you've heard it, but what is one thing that you do every day to stay true to yourself?
I have it's a 1 line a day journal. So I love journaling, but it can be time intensive and you don't have all the time every day. So I have a 1 line a day journal that goes for 5 years. So you start lapping yourself and you can really see, on this day last year and 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So I write 1 line a day about my day, and see it over the years.
And it is amazing, right? When you see it, you're like, what? Like that was my life. And you see how far you've come, right? Yeah. So when you start beating yourself up, you go, wait. Let me go back and just see how far. Exactly. I love that you do that. I love that you do that. So I'm excited for you to be joining us and on your birth. Too. Oh my gosh. I can't wait. Oh my God. I gotta add her here and I gotta put her here and I gotta do this. So why do you think people should come join us? Because some of the speakers, you've met some of them, I know. Why do you think? Because you said yes, and I was like, and I'm so grateful that you said yes, because the big thing for me is to really gives people a strong foundation. And I think that I've been to a lot, and I'm very grateful for a lot of events I've been to, but I want this to once really all be about community, like we said, and not just pitching people. That I wanted. So that's the big thing for this event is that women can get there and they can just kind of breathe and go, oh my gosh, I really felt that person spoke to me and just wants to see me win. So why did you say yes? And why should we?
I think I think one, as I said earlier, community is everything and has gotten me through so many things on, even starting the company and this journey. And I think it really hearing the right thing at the right time can be everything. And I felt that, with Jiggy, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about leaving my job. And finally, someone at one of the, a kind of a women's networking event, this woman just said, why aren't you betting on yourself? I was should I go get another job? Should I do this? She was like, you just helped these 2 women build their vision with their startup that you were at. Now you're talking about going to another job. You have this idea, you have conviction in this idea. Why aren't you betting on yourself? And it was just one of those things that it clicked. And I think surrounding yourself with people who are in similar places, who, have the same intentionality, and, whether it's from another attendee or a speaker, I think these are the kinds of weekends that, things can click, and hearing the right things at the right time. I think, the relationships you build, that community really is everything. And I just loved one of the lines about the event, how you put it was mindset, mission, and money. And I think as women, those are so owning your mindset. I think there's so much we do. And negative self-talk and, convincing ourselves not to do things and having a mission, having a purpose, and money. Like, we need to talk about it more and we need to own that more. And so I think, I was like, those are a weekend talking about mindset, mission, and money. I think we can all use, especially, going into this.
Well, like even that you just said right there, that really hit hard, right? Like, why aren't you betting on yourself? Like, we've been so great at cheering everybody on, and it's wonderful to continue. But like, I caught myself in my 50s, I'm 57 now. And I look and I'm like, well, when are you going to like really go for it? And it was a friend of mine. She was like, were you talking about me? Cause I tagged her in a post, and she goes, did you mean to tag me in this post? And I was like, yes, I did, because her name's Heather. And I said, I'm going to do this big event. I'm like, cause I'd already done like small women's retreats and the whole thing. And I said, I'm going to do a huge event. I'm going to do this and do that. And she made a comment. She said, yeah, Loren, I've heard you say that for 6 years. And I was like, oh, hell no, it's happening. I was like, and here so I'm like, go. And I'm like, thank you. Like it's like kind of like your moment of like, why aren't you betting on yourself? It was like, okay, Loren. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just know that I'm doing it. And like, and you said it again, you said, in the, really focus on the outcome, and then build the airplane on the way down. Right. Yeah. So it's the same type of thing with regards to, well, I am thrilled to have this time with you, and really looking forward to seeing you very soon. Oh my gosh. It's just right around the corner. So thanks everybody. How do people find out more about Jiggy Puzzles and
yes, we are Jiggy Puzzles everywhere. So jiggypuzzles.com, and then at Jiggy Puzzles on all social media.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And I will see you soon.
Thank you, Loren.
How awesome was today? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and invite your friends to join as well. I'm here for you with fabulous content, great guests, and lots of giveaways. To learn more of how I have taken what I've learned, applied it to my life, helped others find their true voice, text TRUE to 26786, which will give you my top tune-ups and a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with one of our coaches. And remember, keep in touch with me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav, Facebook Loren Lahav Official, Clubhouse Loren Lahav. Make sure you text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. Text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. And remember to always stay true to the amazing person you are.